MGTOW, Australia. My father. The last 18 months of my life, ever since I became a man going his own way, I myself as a person, an individual, have come a long way. My perceptions about the world have drastically changed, and now I view the world with a more pragmatic, logical and rational point of view. One cannot truly see or even feel the struggle of other men when they live in the world with a vision of blue-pilled eyes. This is my opinion. The blue-pilled mindset's a product of transmissions made to our mind via various mediums, thereby causing us to have a specific outlook and specific so-called reality. We are heavily indoctrinated by these mediums to value females over males. This is a fundamental core element that a gynocentric system must implement in order for it to sustain itself. These transmissions are evident on television, through news and movies. An example of this is the new Are You OK program that has just recently been promoted in Australian media, where they talk about suicide being a serious issue and project this problem using images that show a distressed female that has suicide ideation, completely ignoring the fact that in Australia an average of 6 males commit suicide per day as compared to 1 female per day. It is wrapped up and packaged as a people problem. Movies, soaps and commercials also have their way about inflating the value of females over males via false projection, lies and deceit. This is also extended to the New South Wales Police Force, whereby the program known as SARO, which stands for Sexual Assault Reporting Option, has an advertisement that depicts a distressed female acting as though she has been sexually assaulted, again, not addressing the fact that sexual assaults happen against males as well. It is as though males can never get anything right, and if they do, it is not as near as important as when a female gets it right, or if a male suffers, it's not as important as when a female suffers. But my father is obviously a male. As I was growing up and still going to school, I rarely got to see my father. My father had a job where he had to be at work just as I was finishing school and going home. I'd be walking home. My father would be going to work. Throughout most of my life, this was the routine that I was used to. My father wasn't really there for me in the sense that he didn't spend much time with me, but on the weekends, my father would take us out to the beach or to a nearby park where we would have barbecues, and we would have such a great time. I remember one time when I was really young, my father took us out to Doll's Point to teach us to swim. My father took me out first into the water. He carried me to a point in the water where I couldn't stand. He said that he was going to count to 3 and then put me under the water. I was really scared. But my father counted to 3 and did exactly as he said. 1, 2, 3, and placed me under the water. I was so afraid, but I knew I could trust my dad. He dipped me into the water, then lifted me up and out of the water. He was jubilant because he knew that he just took away a little bit of water phobia that I may have had. It was a spot where I couldn't stand. I would have drowned had I been alone, but my father wanted me to learn how to swim for my own protection and benefit. My father's a great swimmer. On another occasion, my father took me with him when we went to see his mates. I was about several years old, probably 7, 8, maybe even 6. It was a farm in Liverpool. I was around 7 years old. When we rocked up to this old battered fibro house, my father knocked on the door and a man opened the door. We went inside and it was obvious that they were just on a break from working outside in the hot weather. One of the men pulled out what appeared to be a wine bottle and said to my dad, "We are going to have a drink and you're going to join us." When my father responded with, "Please, I've got my son with me. I don't want him to see that." So they, out of respect, put it away for a few minutes until we left. I think my dad didn't want to spoil their party, whilst at the same time didn't want to influence me in what he thought would be a negative influence. My father made a choice and put myself, his son, over his friends, even though it was just for one small moment. I've never spoken to my father about this, and I think I really want to once he comes back from overseas. I have many things I want to talk to my Father about and let Him know that I appreciate everything that He has done for me. I will also explain to Him that I am a MGTOW, a man going his own way, and articulate all the things that come with that. Around 9 years ago, when I was working on my third album, I wrote a song together that would be dedicated to my father. I had the instrumental to suit this song and give it the right feel. However, I did not complete this song. What I did do was produce a song that was dedicated to my mother and actually put a music clip together for the same song. This song appeared on my third album. Whilst the song dedicated to my father was never recorded, I think that I may have been seeking female approval and for my mother's approval. Even though my father deserved to have a track dedicated to him just as much, if not more than my mother. When my mother listened to this song, she started crying. But I believe her crying was for herself. When my father listened to this song, the same exact song, he also cried. But he cried out of remembrance to his own mother. Therefore, he became emotional for another person, not for himself. One of the most unselfish things that my father ever did was when he was overseas and his mother had just died. He called up our house here in Australia and asked to speak to me. He explained to me that my grandmother had just died and that he was sitting right beside her. He said that he was about to put the phone next to her ear, and if I had any last words that I wanted to say to her, then I could say them to her whilst the phone was placed to her ear. My father has always thought of other people before thinking about himself. I love my father with all my heart. I think in many ways I am like my father, but I don't want to be like him, not totally. It is sad to say that my father's qualities and traits are a weakness in today's world, today more than ever. Although I have only covered some of the aspects of my specific father-son relationship with my dad, there are many other aspects that I have not covered that will easily prove that my father's generally a good Samaritan. But of what use is this in today's social climate? It is the good Samaritan that gets abused in today's narcissistic climate, where parasites are looking for a host to leech off. Females can sniff if you're a potential host from a mile away. This is where my father's weaknesses begin to show, qualities that I have learned from my father that I will unlearn. The more empathy that you have or more sympathy you display, the more of a target you become. The overtalked red pill can never be mentioned enough. Call the system the Matrix, call it what you want, but there is no room for people like my father in this world. I am now my father's protector. I see my father as just a little innocent boy in a wilderness that is similar to the nothing that is witnessed in the never-ending story. But I will not be the one saving the Empress. I am not a utility nor an object to be used just like my father has been all his life. I have been used enough. My father did not have the technology at his fingertips to gain knowledge and access to information that we have today. He did not know how to deal with or even manage his own frustrations in a different way. He didn't even realize that there was another way. He was too kind. The deposit and contributions that I have made to society all overtake the amount of withdrawals I was able to make. When one is at the bottom of the pit and needs assistance, he will realize that nobody gives a shit about him, especially females that appear to be genuine in his brighter days. One must never forget this. I will focus on myself and other men who have walked the walk that I do. I thank you for teaching me how to swim, taking away the phobia that I had for water and all the other many things that you have done for me. The things that I do remember and do not remember. I thank you for protecting me. I will not bite the hand that fed me. I am able to walk in this jungle on my own now. And with information that I have learned through the experiences in my life, from what you have taught me, from what I have learned from men going their own way, I can walk with my head up high and chin up. I am the lion in my jungle. Thank you, Father. I can swim now.